Hello, my name is Rebecca Fowles. I'm one of the tutor assessors here at Orangemead Training. You might be somebody who is considering taking a place on our postgraduate teacher apprenticeship, or you might be somebody just thinking about your next steps in your career. So I'm here today to talk to you about my career pathway and how I ended up where I am today. So when I first qualified as a teacher, I got a job in a local primary school as a year 2 teacher. I worked there for 5 years. And then I decided that I wanted to do something different. I wanted to experience a different year group. Unfortunately, at that time there wasn't the option to move year groups within that school. It was quite a small infant school. So I applied for and was successful in getting a position at another local school. And I was in reception there. Quite a big jump down. It was quite a challenge initially. And while I was there, the early years lead left and I was asked to step up to early years lead. So I worked in the reception classroom and I also was early years lead. I then had a short break to have my children and went back, and I also took on the role of assistant head teacher and deputy head teacher. At one point I was assistant head, then my title changed to deputy head, but it was basically the same role. So I was still early years lead, I was still teaching in the classroom, but I also supported the head teacher. Because it was quite a small school, there was only really me and the head teacher initially on the senior leadership team, so we had to make sure we worked really closely together. I had to make sure that as deputy and assistant head I was on board with her vision. I was kind of the link between the staff and the head, so if I was aware of anybody struggling or anything that was becoming a bone of contention, if you like, with the staff, it was my role to kind of report that back just as much as the other way. So if there was anything that I knew we were trying to sort of implement, just making sure that I was positive about it and maintained that professional link with the staff. So I worked there for about 9 years in total. I also, while I was there for 1 year, did acting head 1 day a week. So our head teacher dropped down to 4 days a week, and I did acting head on the 5th day. My first day as acting head was interesting, to say the least. We had a child who left the school premises, so I ended up dealing with that, which when it's your first day is quite nerve-wracking. Thankfully, just using common sense and procedures and policies that I knew were in place, everything was fine, everybody was safe, and we got it all sorted, but it was a challenging first day. After that, I then left teaching altogether and decided to run my own business. So I did a franchise called The Creation Station for a year, and that entailed doing baby arts and craft classes, which I loved. We also did it with toddlers and after school clubs and also birthday parties. It was really good fun, really enjoyed it. Different to teaching in lots of ways, but also quite similar. So I did that for a year, then decided that I actually did miss teaching, and so went back into teaching. I got a job, I'm trying to remember now, in the city centre of Nottingham, and I was initially doing interventions to support with the year 2s prepping for their SATs, and then I was quickly asked to step into a year 1 class as they were quite challenging behaviour wise, and they just wanted some consistency in there. So I stayed there for only about 6 months, and then I decided that I wanted to work somewhere a bit more close to home. My children, we'd just moved over to Hucknall from Heanor. My children had started a new school, they were struggling, and so I just felt I needed to be close to home so I could leave a bit later and be there for them in the morning. So I decided I would do some supply in the local area. So I did supply teaching, which is a great idea if you just want to get a feel for local schools. You can sort of go in for a day and think, no, that's not for me, and you never have to go back. Or you can go and work in a school and think, yeah, this is a great place, I like this school, this is for me, and kind of get on their books that way, which is exactly what I did. I did a lot of supply at a local school to me, and it also sort of gave me the opportunity to try different year groups. So up until that point, I'd only ever taught in early years and Key Stage 1, and one particular school persuaded me to try year 3-4, which initially I was not a fan of at all, but actually found I did really enjoy it. So I then got a job teaching year 2 again. Lots of things had changed since the last time I taught year 2, so I had to make sure that I sort of spotted up on my knowledge. But loved it, worked there for a while, and then a job became available at the school where my children were. So at that point it would also have meant mornings and pickups and things like that were much easier. So I decided to apply for that job, moved into year 3. Big change, Key Stage 2, hadn't taught Key Stage 2 before other than on teaching practice. I did really enjoy it, but it was also a challenge. And I think it kind of, although I could do it and it was fine, it also confirmed for me that my heart was in early years in Key Stage 1. So a job came up within the same school for early years lead. So initially I didn't apply because I thought I've been out of early years for too long. And then I emailed the head and said, can I come and have a chat with you? I'm quite interested. Is it worth me applying, or do you think I've been out too long? And they said, no, apply. So I applied, got the job, worked as early years lead there for a few years, can't remember now. And then decided to step down from management to just try and get a better work-life balance really for me and my family. And so I went into year 2, did a couple of years in year 2, then decided actually I want to come out of teaching now and do something completely different. Saw a job advertised here at Orange Moon Training and applied for it, and it actually isn't the job that I've ended up doing, but came for an interview, had a conversation, talked about my career pathway so far, and so I ended up as an onboarding officer and tutor assessor here at Orange Moon. And I love it because I now get to pass on some of my wisdom, if you like, and expertise to you trainees. Thank you for listening. I hope it's been useful. I hope it's given you some idea on a career pathway, some ideas of things that you might wish to do in the future.